learn 2 evil death metal riffs in this lesson here. Actually 3. You might have noticed a harmonizing part. There's one part in the track you just heard. One part was harmonizing. So I want to share that with you as well. We're going to jump right into this. Real quick, my Patreon supporters, you guys have the tabs and the backing tracks even for the harmonizing piece there. So make sure you download those, okay? So let's start by playing this riff out in the open. I'm just going to play the first part. We're going to break this down into bite-sized chunks. Now I'm hungry. So here's the first part we're going to go over. Now, the tremolo picking, I'm in standard tuning, by the way. The tremolo picking, the alternate picking, what I want to do, because this sometimes makes it sound more complicated than what it really is. It's actually not. We're not really doing a whole lot with the fretboard hand. So I'm going to pick these out just the single notes. So check this out. Really wicked sounding, right? So let's start with the open string, the open E string here. We're gonna go just 3 notes, okay? Let's break this down even further. And this is the way I like to learn things. A lot of times I'm just learning my own stuff that I put out here on YouTube, and of course my music. I'll write something, and you guys can probably relate to this. You write something, it's like, man, that was cool. Now I gotta go back and learn it. I gotta listen to it again and learn what I was doing, right? So in any case, we've got 3 notes starting out. The open E string, then frets 2 and 3, right? We're gonna play 3 notes on the A string. That's gonna be frets 6, 5, and 2. So let's put it all together. Really evil, man. Now, the next string over, we're going to play on the D string. We're going to go to 6, 5, just like we did on the A string. 6, 5. Now I'm going to bundle these last 4 notes together because they kind of just flow right together there. On that same string, D string, we're going to go 2, 3, and then we're going to go up to the A string, 3, 4, okay? So here's the riff again. Now the second time we actually do that, we repeat that pattern again, but we do something just slightly different at the end, and actually it's just less notes. So it's going to be like this. So that very last part, instead of going back to that A string to play that 3rd and 4th fret, we're just going to play the 1st fret on the D string there. That's it, okay? So that's the only difference. So we'll run through that, just single notes. Let's add the tremolo picking. Now, before we go to the second half of this riff, let's play the harmony. Now, the harmony is not going to quite sound the same because we're playing it out in the open. When we're playing it without that first guitar, it almost won't even sound right. So, real quick, let me just let you hear the 2 guitars together. I'm going to take out the bass and drums. Let's hear what that sounds like real quick, okay? right, pretty cool. So you heard that second guitar. What that guitar is doing, well, the first guitar is doing this, what we just learned, that second half of that. That second harmonizing guitar is playing this. I'm just going to play the single notes without the tremolo picking, okay? What I'm doing is I'm harmonizing everything except for the first note. I'm playing the open E string, so both guitars are playing that part, right? But then that second guitar, the harmonizing part, we come in and all I'm doing is I'm playing 2 steps up. That's it, okay? So when I go to, for the first, for the original riff rather, when I go to that F sharp, okay, that second fret E string, we're in the key of E minor because we're starting with the E. Again, that open string stays the same for both guitars, but that F sharp, that second fret of the E string, well, 2 steps up from that would be the 5th fret, okay? Not 2 frets, but 2 steps within that key. And this is something we can get into in a different video here, but that's really all I'm doing is I'm counting, just playing 2 steps up. So instead of this, it's this. And then I go to, so it's, and then these parts here, I'm just moving everything 2 steps up. Alright, so let's throw the tabs up. Let's run through this a few times, okay? We'll throw in the alternate picking and everything here. Now, if you want to do this, record yourself playing that first part, right? Just record yourself playing the whole song, and then go back and add the harmonizing piece in a second track. And what I'd like to do, what you heard earlier in just the 2 guitars, the mix, is I hard pan each guitar. So that first guitar will be hard pan left, the other hard pan right. That's just how I like to do things. So let's move on to the next part, the second half, the final part of this riff. So let me kind of play this through real quick, okay? Here we go, and then we'll learn the second part here. So now you can hear we're going to some power chords. We're going to just some kind of standard palm muting on that open E, playing some power chords, and we've got some really wicked sounding like choices of notes, as you can hear. And this is what I love. It's what I love about death metal in general. It really just breaks you away from the chords that are supposed to fit together and the notes that are supposed to fit together. Like, I guess it's like jazz, like death metal jazz. Well, I don't think that sounds good, but you get what I'm saying, right? You can just kind of go all over the place on the notes, and you've got, I don't know, a bit more creative freedom, if you will. Hopefully that makes sense. Well, let's get to this though. So we're going just palm muting that open string, that open E string, and then we're going to play the power chords E and F down here, right, on the A and D strings. Now, I am guilty of playing things a little differently every time I play something, even with my music that I play on stage. Maybe that's a curse or blessing. I'm not really sure. It's just what happens. So the way I like to play this part is I like to slide it and then slide it back. So I'll play the power chord, slide it, and then slide it back, and then play the power chord again like this. You You could pick out all of those, and that actually might give you a little bit more clarity, right? Or you may just not pick at all. You may play the power chord one time and just slide, to the F and then go back and not do anything, right? I like playing it this way, so I play that E power chord up here, slide to the F, slide back, and then play it again, right? Okay, so just a side note there. I hope you guys like the little integrations that I throw in there like that. Again, I apologize because sometimes I'll play it one way and you're like, well, Jason, you said play it that way, but you didn't play it that way the next time, and that's just, again, that's my disposition, I guess you could say. So up here, we do the same thing with the B and the C power chords. So it's like this. Okay, so palm, you can open E, E, F, E, okay, down here on the A and D strings, then B, C, B. Here's where it gets wicked. We do the same concept on the E and the A strings here, but we are on an A flat note here, so A flat, A flat. Now then I do just a little single note riff here. Kind of a quick little riff there. So let's play that all the way through. I'll kind of slow this down. Okay, so there's another piece, because we basically replicate that, but instead of this, we just move it up a half step. Okay, that's it. So now we're going from G to A flat back to G, right? Or if you want to call that G sharp, I always get that wrong. Anyway, so... Okay, let's go through the entire piece. We're going to throw both of those together. Again, that last part, this up here, is the exact same. It's just a half step up, okay? Alright guys, time for our guitar chat, but real quick, if you do not have my free Metal Riffs and Licks practice guide, make sure you download a copy of that. There's a link in the description. This guide has literally helped thousands of my YouTube subscribers, and I give it away to all of my subscribers, so thank you guys so much for being here. If you have the practice guide, Metal Riffs and Licks, I do have online courses. I have a guitar course for beginners wanting to learn heavy metal style of playing. I also have Metal Riff Master, but I encourage you, links for all that's in the description, but I encourage you first, get my free stuff first. Go through the guide, watch some more videos on my YouTube channel, do all that first, and then decide if my courses are right for you. Now remember, this is part 1 of 3. I'll have links to all the videos in this series here in the description of this video as well, so make sure you go through all of these. But I want to just tell you a little bit more about this riff, how it came about, and my inspirations for writing this riff. The first inspiration is my good friend Drew Carlton from the Drinking with Drew show. He's on YouTube as well under the Drinking with Drew show. He's got a really cool podcast, totally unfiltered. I'm actually on there from time to time. You guys have probably seen me. But he got me hooked on this band that he used to listen to, or he still does listen to, but that really influenced him, called Forbidden. Some of you may remember them. I had honestly never heard of them until he told me about them, so I've been digging through their catalog. I think their first album was in like the mid to late 80s or something like that. I think they had another album in 2010, but I've been listening to a lot of their music lately, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of along the lines of what we've done. I also have to mention my good friend Brad Mader from the band Must Not Kill. He's all over the place with his riffs as well. Again, the beauty of death metal is you can kind of just play around and like break all the perceived rules or whatever, you know. You're not like limited to, well, I've got to play in this key or whatever. You're just going all over the place just to see what sounds cool to you. On that note, also must mention my friend Ben Ash. He's formerly with Carcass. Now he's with a band called Strigoi, and he's got a lot of this style as well. So all three of those guys have been great influences in really writing this riff here. And all three of those guys have been on my channel. I've got a lot of stuff in the description of this video for you. I'll leave links to videos with all those. Drew, he did a segment on here because he came back from like after taking a 30-year break, right, from playing guitar, and he came over one night, and as we started jamming, he's like, I got to get back in, you know, got to start playing again. So we did a video on that. I also had Brad Mader from Must Not Kill. He's been on the channel here giving some great writing tips for extreme metal and just really any style. And of course, you saw my video with Ben Ash. If you didn't see that, if you didn't see any of these, I'll have the links to all those videos in the description, as well as all the videos in this series, so be sure to check that out. Now, one more thing to share with you. How did this riff come about? Okay, I've got all these influences, but why did I write this particular riff, and why am I sharing it with you? Well, I was actually testing this riff, so I'm playing through my Blackstar amp for the actual, you know, for what you hear just kind of on camera here, but for the full mix that you heard, that was done with Bogren Digital's amp knob, their BDH amp knob. So I've got a video on that as well, but I started playing through that amp sim and I liked it a lot. I'm like, whoa, this thing is pretty cool. So that also inspired this riff here, this whole series that you guys are going through. So I just want to give you a little backstory. Actually, we're at the end here, so if you want to check that out, you can see that video right here on the tone, the amp knob BDH. When the next part 2 is available, I'll have that up here for you to go check out as well. So guys, thank you so much. Leave me any questions that you might have on this riff. I hope you like this style. Let me know if you like this style. Guys, as always, keep it metal and keep playing music.